edit on YouTube. So I'm gonna start. I think basically we have sent you some information to use in terms of uh, this training, and also I know a lot of people they might have been interested in how to use AI for data analysis. So we tried also to bring that as part of the conversation we'll be going. So I'll start from there in terms of the how to use AI. Then we're gonna also use that same AI to do all the transaction as well as we'll be doing it on Excel. So basically, if you look here, I'm gonna share my screen in terms of AI. So here I have Gemini. Gemini is a Google AI. Then on the other side, we also have ChatGTP. So, but I'm gonna use as much from Gemini. So to create a Gemini AI custom GP is you go to here where you say explore, then you explore. It's gonna just open now. Explore, then you add a new Gemini. So in terms of here, when you are adding a new Gemini, you have to tell it what is it. It's about training, data analysis, then the description is data analysis training. Then you give it instruction as much as you can. So I also tried to add something here in terms of showing you what may be the instruction you can give to it. So on top there, I'm gonna just go. So you tell it, for example, to say you are an experienced data analyst in Microsoft Excel with 20 years using this tool. You have experience across a range of industries, but particularly in finance, or particularly in engineering, or particularly in quantity surveying, or particularly in whatever field you are in. Then you tell it as well to explain to say, when asked for explanation, keep it brief and use a simple language to make it. Then the other thing you can also ask, for example, using otherwise stated formulas quoted by the user and formulas that you know, uh, just use those in this GPT. So if I go back here, because I have already trained one of the model for this training, I'm gonna just go and show you what I've done already here. So I'm gonna close this one without saving so that we go into that data analysis Gemini model I have created through AI. So if I edit that, I wanna edit it, then it's gonna go to edit. So basically, it's telling us now what I've created from this. So I have created using this data. So make sure this data is not confidential. So what I'm saying, don't use company data or anything which is confidential in your company. But so here I use the data which is available on the internet. If you see this symbol which we are using for data analysis, it's on the Microsoft. Then also this Excel, which is CFI Excel ebook, it's also on CFI website for free. Then I also created some other documents to use as part of this training. Then I can save, which is update here. But for the meantime, we have already done that. So I'm gonna go back now to that data analysis. I wanna show you something maybe before I move to the next item in terms of this custom Gemini. So what is good with the AI these days, it can save you a lot of time. It can save you time in terms of your analysis. So here I'm gonna say, give me logical conditional formulas. So yeah, I just want to show you something maybe before I continue. So this one, it's a paid version, which is I think from your companies or where you're coming from. If you use a paid version, it can always help you that it won't train the models for if it's free. So that's why it's telling me, which I got from Valka, which is Carlos. It tell me that this chat aren't used for our models, so they can't take all this data we are using here. So make sure that data is confidential, and make sure you are not using data from which is not confidential. So I'm gonna go back to our Excel. Uh, in terms of raw data. So this is the data I provided for this analysis, which we're going to run. And we're also going to go and prompt our Gemini to make sure that we understand one or two, and also give it more text, and also to make sure that it can analyze. So the first thing you have to do when it comes to data analysis is to understand your data. So you can do what we call data dictionary, or understand columns. So usually you have to understand all these category columns. And then the financial data, sometimes you don't really need to understand it. So as well, this data, it has to be consistent. So you don't have to have blanks. You make sure that every column is filled. So to start that, to understand my data, I'm gonna go to my, I'm gonna just delete this which we're using. So I'm gonna go to my right here. I'm gonna use a formula called unique. So this formula called unique, if I just go and highlight this column, so I'm gonna go unique. So if I select this column, it will give me all the unique items in that column, which is these 5. So I can even drag this formula to my right, and it also continues to give me. So actually I can see that there is 5 items in the first column, and I can see that there is 7 columns in the next column, and I can see there is 7 in the next column. So actually what we are doing here is just to understand this data. The other thing you can do as well, if you want to understand data as much as you want, sometimes you just run what we call descriptive analysis. So descriptive analysis, you go to, we select maybe a column. I'm just going to do as an example. And you go to data, then you go to data analysis, then you say descriptive column, descriptive statistics. Then you say, I'm gonna output it maybe on a new sheet. Then you say, okay. So it gives me here, I have minimum in that database. I have the maximum, I have the sum. It tells me the sum of all that data. I have the median, I have the mode, I have the mean. So that is basically in this column. I'm just understanding this column. Then the other thing also, if I want to go further and understand or bring as well another column, is to say, if I just want to, here I'm going to do maybe the rows one, not the column. So I can highlight all these columns and do that. It should give me how many rows are in this database. So here we're actually understanding our data before we go into analysis. So you look at all the columns, you're doing what we call data exploration. Just say, okay, this is what is in here. You also check your band, what is in here. You also check, this is unit sold, this is manufactured, this is sales price, this is a gross pro sales, discount sales. Then you have also what we call feature engineering. So feature engineering is like you're adding a column in the data, but it was not in the data. So I'm gonna use an example with this column here. So already now we are starting to do an analytics or adding more columns in terms of analyzing our data. So I'm gonna use a formula called year, which will give me a year in this data. Okay, so already I added a column now, which we can use for analysis. So I can even delete this column, which is here, and I can use this column to do analysis. So with that in mind now, we can start analyzing our conditional formulas or our conditional formatting as well as part of analysis. So I'm gonna go and start say from the database you gave me, I want to sum of the government segment in total of the sum, which is the summary. So on that, I'm going to use a sum if. So sum if it tells you go to the range. So the range is where the information is. So it is in this column AA. Then I need to say, trying, okay, my formulas. Then I need to give it what is the criteria. The criteria is this. Then I need to give it what is my sum range. So, which is this gross sum. So if I do that, I'm already summing if I'm summarizing my data. So in that column, I have summarized all the cells. Maybe also disclaimer. I know Excel is a trick every day you learn. So people might be in different understanding of all this, what I'm doing, but I'll try as the best as I can to do what I think might be relevant for this session. So I have summed my data here using summation, and the total of that is actually 127 million. So I can go to now to my Gemini and say, please. So I'm gonna now start to prompt my Gemini so that it can also analyze and give me data. Or before maybe I do that as much, I can even add the data which I have created. So you upload your data here, and I'll say I'll use this financial data here, which is this. Then I can go to my detail of my prompting, which was giving the chain of thought. So I'm gonna take this. Sometimes it's easy to create this chain of thought before the actual day of doing the analysis or to create your own prompts. So here I'm saying I'm uploading financial sample data. I'm just gonna delete the other one. All these ones, review the attached document and ensure you understand and read them. So I can do that. Then it's gonna start reading this data set in terms of understanding it. Okay, so I'm gonna just give it a second. While I'm there, while I'm waiting to give it a second to look and search, because it's still understanding my data. I go to the database I have here. So in terms of the database I have here, I can also create what we call dim tables or other tables to use. So I'm going to use maybe these two columns. I'm going to create a dead dim table. So a dead dimension table or dim table is a database you can use to analyze the other data. So I'm going to use this data which I took from there. I'm going to remove. Part of also data analysis is to make sure that you don't have duplicates. So I'm going to remove duplicates from this data. Then I can delete duplicates. So I'm left now with around 18 data sets of all that. I can also still test and see if in this column I have also duplicates there. Then you'll see that there is no duplicate. So this data I can even now transform and bring into the other table. So I'm gonna maybe say training 1, then training 2, then I'm gonna drag this, then I'm gonna go back to the raw data. So if I come here to the raw data which I have, I can bring this column into this data as well. What you call, as I was saying, what we call feature engineering. So I'm gonna say X lookup. So one of the best formulas for me is X lookup. So X lookup, what are we bringing there? I'm saying X lookup, look this value in this dimension table which I'm creating. Okay, so here I'm going to say I'm looking in this column and please return the third column. Then it starts to return everything which is on the other side. And we can even now use this data to analyze our data. So this is just bringing the data into this from this dimension. So I can just rename this to say it's done dim table, dim date table. Okay, so I'm bringing in that data in here as feature engineering or as an extra column I will use for my analysis. So I'm gonna go back to Gemini to just make sure that it's done now. So it's telling me, yeah, I'm happy. So I'm gonna tell it, please give me the total for gross sales for this segment, which is government. It's just trying to put that screenshot there, but I'm gonna government. Okay. Then it will start now analyzing for me. So I just want to check with it that I actually did that analysis proper. So it tells me, please, since you have data in this financial symbol, I'll assume it's a structured table for best practice or use for column. So it's telling me the objective was to calculate the government segment. So your total sales for government is 56 million. And I have used this to create that. So if we go back there, I'm gonna go and copy. I'm gonna come here. So you can see actually it's correct. Yeah. So when when you want to use the AI for fast or analysis, it's good to upload all the information you want to use. You have to give it the references, you need to give it the documents you want to analyze. So as you go, so we can even say, please visualize. I'm gonna go back to, I'm gonna just take maybe my already prompt, the information which I have here. Just check. Okay, I can say please visualize. So visualize this, the trends. So visualize the trends of the segment column in the financial symbol data. So it will start now visualizing that. You'll see as we're gonna just give it a second, it will show us all those graphs. So as I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna also go back while we're waiting for it, so that we can start to go into the next segment of transformations. So here we're just putting some conditional analyzation, some ifs as well. I can even show you another conditional formula which we can use to run feature engineering, which I usually use a lot, is what I call the if statement. So if I come here, say if, that's a conditional formula. Say if in this column where I know that there was discounts equals none, please give me 1, otherwise give me 0. Then I run that formula. So it will run automatically. The other thing which maybe I have forgotten, it's good to use a table if the data is big, but when you're doing financial modeling, sometimes it's not easy to use a table. So I have created a column which I will use as flag. So you'll see when you get to visualization and also the pivot tables that we will use this column to analyze our data. So I'm gonna go back to my Gemini. I think it's still thinking to give me those summaries. Okay, so we're gonna give it a chance. Is it still thinking? But it will give me that visualization. Yes, so I'm gonna go back here. So the next item we need to do is to look at the transformation of data. So transformation of data, there is one powerful way of transforming data, which is called Power Query. When you have bigger databases, Power Query can help you a lot. So from Power Query, you go to data, then you say get data. So you can say from other sources, of which here we're going to use this table we have, and then say table. So this Power Query is going to open now. This one, I like it a lot. I know there's some colleagues of mine who are in this meeting, and friends as well, and other guys I worked with. Yeah, this one, it's a good one. Usually it makes me do my work proper. So here with this one, it gives you an option there. There's home transform, add columns, view. And if you go here, you can transform data by text, you can replace values, you can unpivot other tables, you can add a column. Then here, if you just maybe do like filter here with this, it starts to filter only those, and it gives you some source table of what you are doing here. Then also, if you also want to add an additional column, or you want to choose columns to analyze, you can say choose and you take out. So this is very fast than to delete. And what also this Power Query does, it keeps your data. Whenever I want that data again, you just come in this step. So maybe you can choose country, you can just that, you can choose manufacturing price. So then it's left with only this data. Then when you close and load here, it will only load only this data so that you can be able to work with it. So that's one of the transformation. Then, for example, here, let's say this was not an accounting or like it's not formatted like numbers. You go there, you change this to one number, or you can change it to a decimal number. Then you say replace the current. I said yes. So I can change that. I can change it to man or to text. So usually when you get data from systems or somewhere, usually it comes as text, not numbers. So that's how you transform. So with that in mind, I'm gonna close this. I'm not gonna transform it. I'm gonna close it because I already have that data. But this is a good transformation app which is in Excel. But here, I think we have only 1 hour to make sure that we meet our time. I'm not going to go further into detail, but I think at the end we just ask for, if you ask for questions and or follow-ups, you can follow up with the colors. So basically, that's one of the biggest transformation module uh, which is in Excel. Then the other ones which we can do as well to transform data, sometimes maybe want to cut this. So I'm going to just copy it and maybe paste numbers so that I can transform this data to have more tables, to have more columns. So if I do that, I'm going to paste numbers. Then I'm going to take this column, then I say data, text columns, and I can say delimiter, I can say I want by space, then I can say next. So I might remove all, I might not need this. So I'm telling it only import that, then it's only importing the numbers. Then I say finish. So now I have transformed my data as well, which is in Excel. Then I can make it maybe into numbers. So that's how you transform the data in terms of that. Uh, I think we talked about the year one. Then let me check also my Gemini. I think on this one it didn't give us. I wanted it not by sales. We wanted it by. See, I think it's good that it did this. Yeah, it's saying I said visualize the trends of the segment in financial data with relevant chart and data, but I didn't tell it by what. So here I need to tell it by gross sales. So you need to make sure that your prompt, they are actually like you're talking to your child to make sure that it understands. So that's why it didn't give us as much information there, because I forgot to say what am I actually trying to visualize. So let's give it a second. It might give us the visualization. But if it doesn't, well, at least we are waiting for it. We're gonna go and continue with our exercises. So here it's starting now. You see, it's giving me now the visualization. We can even test it. You'll see that it will be correct as we check it. Okay, I'm gonna go back to our data. So in this data set we have here, the other thing you can also do is to do conditional formatting and start visualizing this. So you can come here, maybe start to say, I need to show this by this. So it tells you, you see, it's giving colors now. The biggest value is that one, this one. You're already visualizing this. You can even give it bar charts as well. Then you see this is a bigger bar and this one's a small bar. It's also part of conditional analyzing. Okay. So the other thing I'm gonna show you as well as part of this training is the is the part to bring in the data from the other side. I think I didn't do that when I did that other one. So I'm gonna try and bring again this data which we said is from gym table in here. I'm gonna try and bring it again. Remember now my unique value is now that which I have used here, and I wanna return this. or I can even return by month, but I'm going to return that. Then I can use this data, as I was saying as well, to this other side, or I can even use that unique formula we said we can try and use, and highlight this. So it start to give me those 16 unique formulas. Now I can start having my sum ifs. So for example, I want to add the one for sum ifs, which way I have two categories. So on this one, I'm going to use where I have maybe also a product, so that I can have a summation of that. So I'm going to say sum ifs. Then I say this one start with the range now. So with the range, it starts from, which is the sum range. So we want to sum the gross sales, which is this column. Then I'm going to give it the criteria range number 1, which is this column. Then I'll give it the criteria for that criteria number 1. Then it gives me to say, give me the criteria range number 2. Criteria range number 2 was this. And also the criteria in that range. Then you do that. Then it's starting to give you that. But if you see here why it's giving me zeros, because I didn't lock my formulas. So you need to lock your formulas in terms of these. That's why it's giving me 0. So when I drag it down, but that's how you summarize your data when you have criteria. Then with that, let me just move as fast as I can so that I don't miss anything. So the table is also the table which I was talking about, which is good for analysis, which we have here. So to insert this table, the easiest way is to go do Control T, or I can just copy this data. I'm going to just create another one. Okay, then I want to insert a table here. Then I just select this to insert a table, which is that. Then I said my table is headers. So that's how you create your table. Or I can do it by just Control T, which is a shortcut. Then I create my table. That's how you create a table. So tables are very powerful in terms of if you want to sum, or if you want to run a lot of formulas. So you see it has a lot of information here, like your marks, your count numbers, and it even goes into more functions as well. Then if you also see, the good thing with the table is that it spills over your formulas. If you saw when I was doing lookups, and I'm gonna just maybe test it. For example, here, say this gross sales minus my COGS, and it spills. Or you just do it once, then it spills your formula down. So that's the good part with the table. Let me just go to my Gemini. So Gemini as well, it can help you also to understand your formulas as well. And you can even start transforming and tell you how you can do it. So I'm saying maybe give me a formula to summarize my profit by a year using the financial sample data. Okay, so it's gonna also do those summations we were talking about, but I want it to also tell us what this formula is saying. So I have some formulas here. Okay, I have some prompts which I already created as part of this conversation, that we make sure that it's all in line. Okay, so I'm gonna take this, say, so sometimes when you get someone's Excel, right, or someone's document which you already have a lot of formulas, especially if you are doing financial modeling, people, they put a lot of information, a lot of in formulas there which are difficult to interpret. So you can even tell it, okay, I have seen you used sum if. briefly help me to understand what this Excel formula is doing. Then it start to tell you what is doing. So it's trying to explain. Okay, that's a great question. As a senior analyst, I can tell you the sum is one of the most essential functions, and it tells me what it's actually doing. It tells you, okay, I'm taking the financial column, which is my sum, which is profit. That's my range of numbers. The criteria, I'm using the first range as the range of all that, which is the year date, the year column, and it tells me what is the criteria in that column. So it tells you how this formula has been run. So if you just wanted to understand your formulas, sometimes formulas, we run them without understanding them. It happens a lot. So with that, we're on the table. So on the table, I was saying you can just auto calculate or auto run your total there on the table. So the next item which we're gonna do now, in terms of, I think we still have more time on my side, is to run the pivot analysis. Pivot analysis is one of the very powerful tool in terms of visualization as well as running summations. So some other guys might know it, some doesn't know it. Okay, so I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna insert from this table. We're gonna insert as a new sheet. We're not gonna use the old one. So this is one of the good summation. So I'm gonna bring in my segment. Then I'm gonna bring maybe my gross margin, which is my gross sales in this column, which I know that the total is that. Then I can use maybe my country into the columns. So if you see now, we have a nice table. So what I wanted to highlight maybe for this meeting, I know maybe everyone knows how to use a pivot table. It depends with the level of understanding Excel. So what I'm interested as much is in this, which is written. So I have designed, but I want to go to this pivot analyzer. So pivot analyzer, it also have a lot of things here, like this, which is called your slicer. So if you put that slicer, if you just want to see what is being sold by Canada, it shows that. See there, France in Canada, it gives you those two. That's the powerful thing. So from this also, we can now run the visualization from this data. So I'm gonna go and insert my pivot chart. Then I say pivot chart. So already it's giving me some recommendation and what needs to be, but you can always select whatever I think is the right one. So here I'm gonna select that. So pivot tables and pivot chart, they are good when you have a lot of data. So you see now we have a chart now. So if I wanna start seeing more data for Germany, now I only have Germany. So I'm gonna try also and correct our visualization here. So I'm gonna remove all these lines. I'm gonna also maybe add some data tables to my data, some data labels to my data. So then I can add France. I can add the other ones. We're still on German. So it's only pulling that German one in terms of data labels. So I'm gonna put these two together. Then if I want, I can add all the information on top of it here in terms of labels, but you can also remove labels when it's everything. So if I clear the field, I see now it's distorted. Everything is now too much. So, but when you put it one by one, it's easy. So you can even format your table. Just when I format this, okay, then I can format my data series. Okay, so here I can fill. In terms of that, I can change my color, maybe to put yellow, or I can put blue. I like blue. Or I can put, I think yellow is always better. Then if I go back there, I can put France, but you see it's going back there because it's only for this data. Okay, so here I can even come now and name my table, my chart, to say give me, it's called sales by country. Just ignore my spellings and segments. I'm already naming my data. So you can even transform it as much as you can with all this here. You can add data labels, you can add data tables, you can add grids, you can add trends on top of it so that it starts to show you by trend. So that's how you get your visualization into this data set, which I have here. So I can even increase my data here to bring France and all these ones. Then it start to be more information. So visualization with Power Pivot or a pivot, it can help a lot. It can give you some dynamic visualization, some dynamic analysis. So even when you're showing in a meeting, people will clap hands for you when you say, hey, we want to just look at France only. And then you start showing them that in France, the biggest uh, revenue earner was the government. Then I go to Germany, my biggest earner was actually still the government. You see, the government is doing well, and even on Mexico, government is doing well. In the United States, you see now the small business now is now doing well. So now you are starting visualization. So I can even visualize this all this data. I'm gonna give you to say, please, I need to create that in ChatGTP. Say, this is my segment. So I wanna tell you to visualize my gross revenue using segment by product. So it is going to try and give us those visualization we're running in pivot tables. Okay, it's thinking a bit, Yana. Okay, so it's saying I'm going to give you by so it's giving me by enterprise. So you can even test this data if you want. And now it's giving you a nice visualization, which they gave you by tagged. Say in small business segments, there's this product, and the biggest product, which is the enemy moment, is Carretera, which is that, as it goes. So I like Gemini a lot. Gemini is straightforward in terms of this exercise, but you can also use ChatGTP. ChatGTP is the same again. These days, ChatGTP it doesn't give you as much in terms of creating a ChatGTP custom, but it used to give you that. So you can even explore here to get more ChatGTPs. So maybe you want to get a data analyst ChatGTP, it can give you that. Okay, data analysis. Okay, so there's a lot of other people who are creating these GTPs. Then you choose any you want. Then you start analyzing your data using that. Or if you want to create it as well, I think it's somewhere here. Let me just say it's somewhere explore there. Okay, so explore. Then you say new, create new. So what I'm saying now on ChatGPT version 5, it doesn't give you option to upload documents. Last time when I was doing these bots, they were able to upload. But now you can also create a project. That's a good one, which you can always reference and come back to it. So it's somewhere here. So you can add a new project. Then you upload all the information you want. You can go investing, you can go homework, right? But make sure that you prompt it as much as you can to be able to get as more relevant or analysis as you want. So I'm gonna go back to here to raw data. The other thing which I wanted also to show you is the text when you want to trim data. Sometimes you get this data and there is too much information or there is dashes or something like that. So I'm gonna just copy this and paste numbers and show you. So I have this. I'm gonna edit the end because I don't wanna distort my data. And I wanna remove all that. Okay, so I need now to make sure this data is usable, or I can be able to do an X lookup or a V lookup or a H lookup from this other side. So to do that, you just make sure that you trim this column. You need to trim it, and it will remove all the spaces and all that. Then the other thing also, you can concatenate or you can combine this to create another column for data analysis. So you have concat, so which is this text and this text. Then I have a new column which I've created to use for my analysis. So that's how you add an extra column using concatenate. Or sometimes if you want to clean the data, as we're saying, to get the numbers on itself, we also do that one. We say data, we go to data, do text columns. Then it also cleans up your data. Okay. The other thing which you can check as well here, if you remember, I that time I created a flag. Usually I use this a lot, a flag to analyze my data. So I'm gonna use that flag. I'm gonna go to the pivot table. This is my visualization. I think this was this. I'm not. Then that flag, I'm gonna use it as much. I'm gonna put it here on the top. So just now I'm not seeing my other top side. Yeah, it's there now. Okay, so I'm gonna use the flag now. So if you see now, I have my flag which I'm studying using for analysis. So I know if I put zeros, these are all categories where we actually gave a discount. And if I put a none, these are all categories where we didn't give discounts. That's how powerful future engineering can help you with. So I'm gonna go back here. We already explained that. So you can even ask ChatGPT or Gemini to give you good prompts. Please help me with good prompts for my financial symbol data analysis. So it can even give you nice prompts. Well, sometimes these prompts have to be good with English and all that in terms of if you want to get as much as you want. So here it gives you some nice prompts to say, this is how you write it. You tell it, create a pivot table to summarize gross profit by country and display the results as a percentage to the grand total. So if I do that, I'm now using, I just say, please give me that. So it's gonna run that analysis on its own. So that's the other way. For example, if you have challenges to write your prompts and use it on the other side, now it gives you all that summary. Yeah. Okay, let me go back to our data set. So in terms of the data set, we're saying you can also do, I think we talked about extracting the year, and I'm going to give it the year. We talked about that. Let me just check my notes if I have missed anything in terms of more we needed to discuss here. Okay, so I can also bring my totals here with the count, or I want to count how many which come. So this is also a conditional count if to count the items which are linked to this date. So I need to go to my raw data. I need to highlight that column. I need to come back to this team table which we have created. So I need to count how many sales which were done by this date. So you see that it's 35. So I'm going to drag it because it doesn't want to drag it because I'm away from my table. So here I just have to do it manually. But you need to do it as much close to your table. The formula should be next to it. So if I also need to do some conditional and see, because sometimes when data is like this, it's difficult to understand. So I have to just give it, I have to highlight the conditional and maybe put these colors here. Then I can start seeing, oh, okay, this is when the too much sales came through in that. So these 4 dates, that's when we got a lot of sales in these 2 dates in terms of count, not by number, not by total, but in terms of count, they managed to sell as much in these 4 days, which is that, and that. So that's how you can also analyze. So I'm using this table which I've created here to get more of my analysis and my total. So I can even run again the sum if. I'm just liking the sum if because it's easy to use. I can go back to that range which we are using again, which is our date range, which is this. Then I can come back to our dim table number 1. I need the criteria, which is this. Okay. Then I also need my sum column. Maybe I want to run by cells. Then again, if you see this data is, when you look at it like this, it's also not making sense as much. So you can also do a conditional formatting, which is by color or by bar. Then you get this bar. And use that to see, oh, okay, that. So that's event if you see was making sense that they actually sold as much in those days. And also we can even run a visualization here. So now we can say insert, then we say we run any bar and recommended. Any. I just run in. Let me check on here. Don't know why it doesn't want to give me the insert option. Okay, maybe I said that. Okay, so then here I come and select my data now. I need to select my data from here. So it's usually easy to visualize your data. It gives you as much confidence in terms of what you want to see. Here I was just running those numbers so that you can see. Then if I also want to select the more, again, the data in terms of my horizontal ones, I might come and take these ones just in case. I just want to show it. Then I'm saying, okay, it didn't show, but that's how you bring in data if you want to select it. You can even change the chart. Maybe if you want to put it as a pie chart, you want to put it as a line. That's how you change it. So now it's showing those ones I selected. Then I can even remove this. So now I can start to see, okay, my sales as much was in that. And even bring my years or as part of selection here. And I can name and I can change this in terms of my units of measure. Cool. I don't know, Carlos, are we still having more time? I think we can leave the next 5 minutes now to questions, but I tried to run the marathon. I know it's just a 1 hour session, but the training can go for the whole day. And you start building your ifs, your index formulas, your dynamic formulas, which I didn't do, and also your 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 data. Let me just maybe run that one. Your data types one. For example, if you have say regions in South Africa, I'm just wanna get this information to run something interesting I wanna show you now in terms of data which we can get. So he's giving me all these provinces here. So I'm gonna copy this as a table and I'm gonna paste it in there in here as numbers. Okay. Then this province here, I'm gonna make it. If I go to home, let me just see this thing I wanted to show you. It's where is it? Okay, so you can highlight this column, this one. So I can say it's geographic. This is the thing I wanted to show you. Okay, now when you do that, when you press it on the side here, it does start to give you more information. Okay, and it gives you region. And on the other one, maybe you can say population, start to give you population. And so it can give you as much information as you want. I'm gonna try and give population for everything. So this was, well, if you want to run stock analysis, you can run all the stock data and put it here, only the tickers, and you get all the P numbers, your share price and all that. You don't need to go anywhere. You just use this information to bring you more data. Yeah, Carlos, I'll give time to you.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. Okay, we have about 5 minutes, so I'll open the floor for questions, guys. Anyone who wants wish to have to ask Valentine on his presentation, you are welcome.
Yeah, but just
Anyone?
to add, I know some people might be have more technical advantage than what I have here, but I was just presenting the best case, I think, in analysis. But here we're not looking into as much as data science, which you are looking at your regressions, your test analysis. So at the end of the month, we're gonna do another free training for how to run data science using Python. Yeah, to give you maybe if you want to forecast all this. So there will be another free training as well to run it in Excel if you want. But basically, this is what, in terms of what you want to summarize, for example, you just want to see what is in my data set. That's what we're trying to achieve with this analysis. But in terms of predictions, that will be another session at the end of the month. So you can reach out to Carlos. He will be driving that training for Python, which will be for free as well.
Okay, thanks very much. Yes, as you mentioned, just we're gonna fly out another registration form for Python. It's scheduled for end of month. So those who are interested, you can just keep your heads up a bit. We'll send it in a bit the links for registration as well. Okay. Thanks very much, Valentine, and thank you guys for coming to this session. Yes, the time was not much, but yeah, I hope you get something. Okay. Someone is raised their hand. Was it? It's a bit okay. All right, I missed it a bit. I thought someone was wanted to. Okay,
Yeah, Wellington did raise his hand.
okay. Wellington.
Thank you so much, says for the presentation. Yeah, it's I think it was quite a big bone to chew on my side. The numbers, yeah, the data analysis, but it was very informative, especially on my side, because I could see how much I need to quickly get into AI. So very helpful on my side. Although I'm not very much advanced into data analysis, I'm not very much into accounting, but I work with numbers a lot on the construction side. So I want to sent my appreciation on the work which you have done, especially doing it for free. So I'm really eager to get into the next level. I'll be a little bit behind, but I believe that I'm going to be catching up. Thank you so much.
Thanks very
No.
much.
Thanks, Wellington. I think we will also, if there's follow-ups, we can just also give you the training. I also sent a free document yesterday, which on Saturday. So you can also go through that one. We can also consult for free just to make sure that you will find there's a lot of formulas, interesting stuff there in that document. For those ones who didn't receive it, I think Carlos did edit in the chat. Thanks, Mr. Moneziko.
Appreciated. Thank you.
All right.
I don't see any other hand. Yeah, you can come in, Carlos.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also going to send the link for the video. We have recorded this session, so for those who missed out, don't worry, you can access it. I'll send it in an hour or two, just a bit. So thanks very much. That's the end of our session. Valentine, I don't know if you have something to say before we close our session.
No, thank you very much for joining. You took your time to just make sure that you want to grow. I think this is good. We can engage as we go. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you so much.